Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to talk about the Breakup Podcast number 5. Actually, it's Breakup Podcast number 6. I think I didn't change it. But Sleep Smarter by Shawn Steven, book review. And I'm going to be doing more and more of these book reviews. I got a lot of notes from books that I read and I think are useful and helpful for people that are going into a breakup, coming out of a breakup, whatever you want to call it. If you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's just fine. If you want to subscribe to the channel, there's going to be a lot of live streams, a lot of information, a lot of content on dealing with breakups and relationships. And during the end of the live streams, we get into some other stuff and have some fun. But today it's going to be Sleep Smarter by Shawn Steven. I think this is a great book, highly informative, useful information, which is things I like when I read a book. And I think that people underrate the value of sleep. And this is one of those books that focuses on that all the way. And the guy that wrote it, from what I understand, had a lot of trouble with sleeping. And having bad sleep relates to a lot of other problems such as anxiety, depression, overweight, and the list goes on, obesity. And I think people disregard sleep as something that has nothing to do with their health or their sanity. And so, right on, Rob, you made it. I thought this would be a bad time for you. I actually found out there's a party, a going away party for a close friend of mine tonight, so I'm not going to make the later one, so I thought I'd double down right now. It's 6 a.m., got the notification. Wow. So you don't sleep? You're a night owl, man. It's a horrible time for me. So I woke up, and the ironic thing is it's about sleeping smarter, which is probably not a good thing that you are getting woken up at 6 a.m. while you're in a dead sleep. But I need to participate. Okay, so this is, like I said, is this a book that you've read before? Why is my camera so bad on this one? I'm not sure why. But anyhow, the Sleep Smarter, I thought it was a good book. I actually used some of it. Thanks. In unpacking things, ask me some questions. Go ahead. In the past, when I've used this time, there's usually not a lot of people that come on because it's just a funky time for a lot of people in the States. But some people, I believe, in the UK and other regions are like, oh, cool, I finally caught you at a time that works for me. So, cool. Let's get into it really quick. Like I said, I got some basic notes written out. So number one, and the way right now I actually have a research assistant that's helping me out. I've read this book, but I said, hey, go ahead and grab some notes from different books, and I named some of my favorite books. I have notes on them, so this is what we put together. So the list at the top, number one, sunshine between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is actually really interesting. No screens, meaning not fly screens, but no picture screens or monitors 90 minutes before bedtime. Limit caffeine, which seems obvious, right? Be cool, number 4. That was one that surprised me, that actually being in a cool room rather than something that's warm. I mean, when you think about it, I grew up in a house. It wasn't a cold area. So the Bay Area, which I think, Rob, you said you lived in the Bay Area or San Francisco, is not cold in terms of snow or sleet or ice. It's just chilly. And I remember as a kid, we didn't grow up in a very big house. This isn't me saying that I had a bad childhood because of the size of my house. The house was like 1,200 square feet. And we had a heating system, with vents in each room. And my dad used to just put that thing at like 78 or 80. He liked a hot house. And my mom would be the one turning it down because of electricity costs. But overall, I remember our house being very, very warm and during the winter. And it's easier to heat a smaller house with shorter ceilings. I've noticed living in different places. That being said, now that I live in a hot climate, we're always putting the air conditioning on. There's a certain degrees that is a sweet spot for falling asleep, and it's actually a bit cooler. And Tim Ferriss has a really interesting thing that I've thought about getting before, but it's highly expensive. It's called a chili pad, which to me, I remember my parents had a hot, what do you call that, electric heating blanket. And so this would be the opposite. This is something that you'd put on your bed to cool things up, and this is supposed to help you sleep. And I have noticed living in the tropics and using air conditioners in room, I do get sleepier in cooler rooms. So that was another thing. Number 5, do not use your bed for anything other than sleep. I think that's a little bit of a chore. I think that was stated in the wrong way in this notes. Go to bed at the right time. This is something interesting that I've realized at 39 years old. And I've done some research on sleeping before, and there is different sweet spots for different people. And for me, it seems to be between 10:30 and 11:30. If I get to sleep at that time, for me, at this stage in my life, I get much better sleep. And in this book, he's saying that that's the time for most human beings to go to sleep and get a deeper sleep. But I have read other places that there are other people that are perfectly fine going at different rates. But yeah, I've noticed that if I go to sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I'll still wake up at 7 or 8 p.m. So my body's so used to waking up early that I never get that full sleep. So going to bed at the right time, black out your room. I think this is highly underrated, actually. This is something I've always overlooked. And, I have curtains in my room, but there's areas where, light gets in because there's a crack in the curtains or whatnot. And I've had people sleep over that have a real problem with that. I've stayed in hotel rooms that don't have windows, and then I'm like, the next morning, I'm like, wow, I slept really well, and that room is completely blacked out. So that's one of those things that I think it just gets overlooked. Meditation, which is good for everything. I mean, meditation is one of those things everyone can just go, oh yeah, and meditation too, for anything healthy or worthwhile. Oh yeah, and meditation too, only that not a lot of people do it, right? Because it takes focus, it takes calm, it takes a quiet room. And I think a lot of people assume that it should be easier than it is. And so they kind of let it go they let go of trying after long times. I'm drinking a Monster coffee right now. Good for you. Yes, let's use all or not. No, I haven't read it. I've heard of it. Okay, so let me get farther into it. The things that surprised me the most, though, when I first read this, was the sunshine between 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I actually do that a lot now. I mean, no screens for 90 minutes before bed seems obvious. It's not something I always follow. Limit caffeine seems obvious. Being cool didn't seem obvious to me. Blacking out your room didn't seem obvious to me also. Okay, so sleeping might be one of the easiest things to do for most people, but actually sleep can be very beneficial to your daily performance, etc. In this book, Sleep Smarter discusses a few tips and tricks on how to get amazing sleep, how to fall asleep faster, and overall importance of sleep. Most people don't realize their sleep problems are also what stimulate other problems they're having in life. Here are the takeaways I got from the book. So first, get more sunlight between 6 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Your sleep cycle is heavily impacted by the amount of sunlight you receive during the day. The sunlight exposure triggers your body to produce optimal levels of hormone that regulate your biological clock, which brings us to second tips. So just to put my little caveat on that, I would add that especially if you're going through a breakup or a tough time in your relationship right now, waking up early in the morning and going for a walk with the idea that you're getting some exercise, you're getting out of the house, and you're not in your room ruminating over the problem. Also feel good about the fact that this is a sweet spot to get sun. And the funny thing is, some people, well, there's no sun out. Sun still goes through clouds and whatnot. Being outside, there's going to be rays that find you. Okay, so between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., try to get some kind of sun. Number 2, no screens 90 minutes before bedtime. Cutting out your screens from your phone, TV, computer before bedtime can improve your sleep quality significantly because screens emit blue light and it stimulates your brain to think it's daytime. You can actually reverse engineer this by putting in blue lights, 5,000 Kelvin bulb. I'm not familiar with this in the office to work better and faster, but that's not how you sleep better. Your brain won't produce melatonin, which is the drug that kills your brain to go to sleep, if your eyes see the light, so that 90 minutes is perfect for you to do other things like reading. Now, this is, I don't know if I have this on the tip, but one of the things that I really got from this book, and I actually used, so there's so many times you read something like this and you don't actually use a tip from the book. I actually read that red bulbs or orange bulbs around the house, not around the house, but the alternative to, if you're having trouble sleeping, I'll put on a red bulb while I'm watching TV and it will put me to sleep. And it's kind of funny because everyone thinks about red light district, and they think about, the bedroom and whatnot. There's a reason why red lights are used in a lot of different atmospheres or ambiances, and it's because of the feelings they bring. But that being said, I'll put it on in the living room, and the amount of people that I've had come over and go like, what's going on in here? And it will relax me to have a red light bulb on rather than a bright light. Especially if you have multiple blue lights in your living room, it's going to affect you falling asleep. It'll cause headaches. It'll hurt your eyes. And so I would highly recommend and I have a red bulb in my bedroom also. Probably didn't know that, did you? So I always have when I go to sleep, I never turn on the lights from the ceiling, and I turn on, where I'm at is hot, turn on the fan, and I turn on that red light before I go to bed to, get in the covers or whatnot. And that red bulb, it really makes, I've recommended it to friends and family, and they're like, oh God, I would never have a red light. It's like the red light district. Da-da-da. And as a extra bonus, if you're going to be getting intimate, the red light bulb makes everyone look better. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you've ever used one, I don't know if anyone's ever had one of those in their bedroom. I had one of those in my bedroom in college. And still have one now. So, number 3, limit caffeine. Andosine is the chemical that builds up in your body throughout the day. When enough is built up, it forces you to be tired, signaling you to go to sleep. But caffeine blocks andosine from building up, hence making you stay up longer, which is why you avoid caffeine after 4 p.m. This seems very obvious. I didn't know the andosine thing before I read this. Number 4, be cool. Your body temperature drops automatically when it's time to shut down, which impacts your ability to sleep. Optimal room temperature is 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 to 20 degrees Celsius. The trick is to take a warm bath 1.5 or 2 hours before you go to bed. Your core temperature will increase from the bath. It will fall accordingly to level out a little cooler room. Even though the room temperature will ideally be cooler to induce better sleep, this can trigger sleeplessness in some people. Try wearing a pair of socks and go to bed. Test it out and see if it works for you. I would say I used to take a lot of hot showers before bed, but like again, I'm in the tropics and we use air conditioning, so the room's quite cool. And I will say that air conditioning makes you sleep deeper. I don't know if it's good for your sinuses, though. That's another story. Anyhow, having a cool room, and I've heard of the chili pad being something that can help with this. Please chime in if you guys have any sleep tips, because I think that even though this is a breakup channel, we talk a lot of things about stories and stuff. This is a thing that's just underrated. Number 5, go to bed at the right time. Optimal time to be sleeping is 10 to 2 a.m. You get the most rejuvenating effects during this period. So 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. If your body is chronically deprived of regenerative sleep between those times, then you may still feel fatigued in the morning. Make a habit of getting some sunlight as soon as you jump out of bed in the morning to help reset your cycle so that you'll be tired when the optimal bedtime comes around. This is going to boost your natural cortisol levels and fully awakes your system. Okay. So 6, this is actually something that I think is underrated. Having a sleep sanctuary. Your bedroom should only be used for sleep and intimacy. The human brain is always looking for patterns so that it can automate behavior. This is a very key statement. After a while, you don't have to think what you have to do when you go to a different room in your home. you kind of just go there and do it. If your bedroom is a place where many activities take place, like watching TV, I haven't had a TV in my room for years, but I'll tell you what, before, I don't know if it was the last 4 or 5 years, I don't like having a TV in the room any longer, and my last girlfriend used to like to watch TV while going to sleep, and now I just find it a hindrance. When I go to my bedroom and I lay down, I usually go to sleep within 10 or 15 minutes. I don't pace, but I certainly don't want a TV in the background. Then you probably aren't making your brain think of it as the only place to sleep. When you're walking into a bedroom, parts of your brain might be expecting activities like watching TV, scrolling through social media, etc. Okay, next part of this. 7th, black out your bedroom. Your skin will actually pick up the lights in your room and send signals to your brain to interfere with your sleep. Think about that. I didn't know this before. Your skin actually picks up lights in your room and sends signals to your brain that interfere with your sleep. Red light has the least power to shift circadian rhythm and suppress melatonin. That's why it's recommended to use red light bulbs at night. This is something I took from the book and I actually use. But it's not just about the color of the light, it's about the lumens as well. So if you have an option, try to dim the light a bit. So when you go to sleep, make sure there isn't any light in the room. I would say also if you're getting light from your ceiling, maybe have a light that's shifted towards the wall. But red lights are great. And finally, meditation. Calm your inner chatter. Put yourself to sleep using tools like meditation, avoiding watching and read instead, and so on. Because we usually hop on the bed and start thinking about how many things while we are supposed to be sleeping. The inner chatter is the result of stress, busyness of the day. It's better to keep it down for you to have a better sleep. There is data about beneficial impact on performance and work. I mean, I won't go into the whole meditation thing 10 times over. Everyone knows about it being a good thing for you. Okay. Melatonin can help. Yeah, melatonin are those what's the chewable tablets that you can get? Is that melatonin? I really need to read this book. It's a good book. I mean, I basically went through the best points I thought. I would say that the red light bulb absolutely works. Even if you put it in your living room while you're watching TV, or even if you're in your computer room, it will make you sleepier. It will relax your eyes. It's underrated how much effect blue lights have on you. Having the light blocker glasses helps too. Pink light is common as well. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. I've never used a pink light, but like I said, red lights, it's nice to have in the bedroom also. No caffeine after 4 o'clock. Okay, melatonin I've taken before. It's a chewable tablet. I've used that on the airplane before to go to sleep, and it works quite well. I don't feel like there's very many side effects to that. What about a massage? Well, where I live, I get a massage about 2 times a week, sometimes 3. So I can definitely attest that a massage. The funny thing is people say they fall asleep when they get a massage. I don't usually fall asleep, but I'm extremely relaxed. 9 milligrams you can take. Yeah, I don't take melatonin regularly. It's only for a special occasion. I find that one thing that's not mentioned in what I just talked about that book, though, is the fact that getting regular exercise is probably going to be one of those things that tires you out. I was actually really surprised. One of the things was when I went through my bad breakup, or whatever you call it now, which ended up being a good thing. I was really surprised that I was able to sleep quite well. You know, a lot of people have sleepless, but at the time, I think part of it was I was staying so busy. I was exercising a lot. I was staying out of the house, so I would come home and I went to sleep quite easily. Normally wouldn't. Okay. So just wanted to get that one in, so to say, because I want to start doing some of these book reviews a little bit more often, because I think they're useful. They're not as interactive maybe as the stories go, but they're quite useful to the people that are going through these breakups now. Is there a book, Sabina, Azam, if you're still on, I don't know if you're at the gym now. Is there a book you guys would like me to review or a book that you recommend? I would go into a little deeper. I've got the notes on some of the other ones are quite longer. I just anticipated that right now there won't be as many people on probably. Let's take a look here. Yeah, the books that I have on deck are The One Thing by Gary Keller, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, Sleep Smarter's on there, The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, which we've talked about a lot. That'll be a big one for Azam. Models by Mark Manson. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which I've already gone over. The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Atomic Habits by James Clear. No More Mr. Nice Guy, which I've already done a couple days ago. I went through the notes on that, which were extensive. Next one would have been The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz, which is a very interesting book. Mastery by Robert Greene, which is one of my favorite books, I believe, on figuring out what you want. People always talk about finding your passion. This is a great book about finding out what you want to do as a career and what you want to master and become a craftsman of. I thought it was an outstanding book. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which is a classic. Some of the things used in the 48 Laws of Power, it's interesting. Throw people off as unfair or manipulative, but I think Robert Greene's point is well taken, that this is how humans are, and if you want to play the game, sometimes you have to understand it a little better. Deep Work by Cal Newport, which is a great book. It would go hand in hand with Mastery by Robert Greene. Really good book on finding out how to work more deeper on what your skill set or your passion is. The Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. Now, this is a book I actually didn't read, but I've heard a lot about it. And I thought that this would be an interesting book to unpack parallel to dealing with a breakup, because how he's dealing with quitting smoking, and I've never been a cigarette smoker, is a very interesting approach. And I've heard from many people that it's one of the best books that they've ever come across in actually helping them quit smoking. So I figured this would maybe shed some light on how you could quit chasing your ex or thinking about your ex and how you're looking at it. And that there will also be the 4-Hour Work Week, the 3% Man by Corey Wayne, which I've actually already gone over in a video a long time ago. Did you like The Art of Seduction? I like Robert Greene a lot. I mean, I actually have the book. I've gone through it before. I don't know if I loved The Art of Seduction, though. I felt like all the different names he gave to the different people. I might have to listen to it again. I found it a little convoluted in some ways. Like it was like, well, if you're this person, you're the dandy, you're the charmer, you're this. Did you find yourself when you looked at that book? Did you identify with one of those characters, Azam? The charmer? No. You know, like who you were. It really reminded me of like what you do with astrology. You know, you're an Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. You're this. You're that. The Art of Seduction. Like I said, I have the book. But out of all the books Robert Greene has, the principles apply. Okay, I'm gonna have to. It's been years since I went through that. Robert Greene is one of those people though. Like he thoroughly no need for the people types. You know what I'm talking about though, right? He does this thing where he has labels for different type. It's a bit okay. So that's exactly what was my point when I say convoluted. It was a bit too much where he was identifying these made-up names for individual people. That's where I got a little lost on the art of seduction. Creating labels for different groups that were just basically made up. The Laws of Human Nature is actually a really good book, and one thing to really look into that's interesting is there's something called the Book of Psychology, and it's a series, and it goes over all these different psychologists. It's a book that's in a lot of bookstores. It's excellent. I mean, it has a lot of stuff in there. But if you look at a lot of people have heard of NLP. NLP is really interesting. It's basically what Tony Robbins follows, and there's a variety of people out there that are NLP instructors and whatnot, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that comes from NLP. I think that everyone should take a look at it. And I don't want to say fathers of NLP, but a lot of times people associate it with, I forgot his name. Drawing a blank right. Richard Bandler, and there's another guy. They were both, one of them was a professor. They were at UC Santa Cruz together, the story goes. And they basically the other guy was a linguist. That's on the tip of my tongue. I could go on Wikipedia right now. But anyways, they actually went to 3 psychologists. One was a female. That's why I didn't want to say fathers. And Milton Erickson, who's really interesting. Milton Erickson, to me, is one of the most interesting. I don't even think he'd identify with being a psychologist. One of the chapters in Human Nature, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, has a whole thing on him. I don't even want to. Maybe I should go into that another time. But then there's Fritz Perls, I think is his name. And I forgot the other lady's name. But they took these 3 and they took their techniques and they created NLP. A lot of it's hypnotherapy and different things. And that's basically Tony Robbins never went to college for anything. That's really interesting. That's one of those things that never gets talked about. And he's this huge, big character. And he, say what you want about him. There's a lot of successful people that follow him, right? That believe in him and follow him. And if you hear him interviewed and stuff, he's legit. He's a legit dude. He has his own techniques, but he never went to college. He doesn't have any designation. He actually changed his name, by the way, too. That's not his real name. But his popularity is immense. Yeah, Laws is good. The 48 Laws of Power evidently is one of the most popular prison books. Surprise, surprise. If you could imagine that. But otherwise, those are what I'm going to have on deck. I'll be bringing those up in some live streams in the future, not too distant future. We had a really good live stream today with the stories. That'll continue on. Seduction with NLP. NLP is, like I said, I would say that I wouldn't make it my life, but it's a very good thing to understand and look at. And the highest levels of NLP, it's become this thing where people, spend money to become NLP certified and whatnot. But yeah, I would say that the seduction things for that and whatnot, a lot of the stuff's, the internet and YouTube's so saturated. It's like when you got the question today about picking up body language tips. I mean, I could talk about those things, but you can obviously find them on YouTube, right? I don't know if there's something that isn't on one of those YouTube, like when you go like, oh, how do I read a woman's body language or a man's body language if he's interested? I mean, those are, in German-speaking area is used for a lot. What NLP? Or the body language thing? Okay. I would say that, yeah, because there's another book called Atomic Attraction. And I think Kyle from Masculine Energy, I'd recommend that as one of his books. And I just found it wasn't, you can find a book redundant, or you can find it like, oh, it didn't teach me anything new. It doesn't mean the book doesn't have any value. It's just sequence. It's just the fact that you read that book 5 books down the road, and now you're like, okay, yeah, I knew that already, right? There's a lot of stuff where people just reframe and repackage old ideas, like the law of attraction, right? We can go on about the law of attraction and the different things. The bottom line with the law of attraction is believe in it, imagine it, and see the end. I mean, you could go through that 1,000, 15,000 times, and people reword it, and then put it in their books over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then at some point you're like, is this even real? I think there's some elements to it that help things materialize for you, and it certainly can't hurt you. But the amount of people that are feeding off of it is staggering. It's not an original thought. And I think we've gotten to a point. I've read this before. I've talked about it before. Rob, you'll know I've mentioned this before. The whole thing in Kevin Kelly's Wired book, everything in the future is going to be a remix. Same as what I do now would be like, oh, I've seen someone else do breakup coaching or help people out like Corey Wayne or something. I'm like, okay, I think I can do that. But I'm obviously going to do it in a different way. And this is what it's going to be. There's going to be a ton of independent contractors in different fields. And then we're already seeing it with, or at least I'm seeing it here where I live, massive amounts of people. There's a lady that goes to my gym that just started making almond milk. How random is that, right? She's like, hey, Mac, I'm going to make fresh almond milk. And in my head, I'm like, I already get it from the store for a pretty good price. I don't really need almond milk. She made it, I've never had fresh almond milk, right? Because it's always she made fresh almond milk. She put a package, a label. She's delivering it to people. And she's making a little bit of money from it. And it looks cool. And it actually tastes outstanding. Because it only lasts a week. And it definitely tastes different than almond milk that you'd buy from the store. Because she doesn't have to put as many additives in it. This is where the future is headed, I think. Just independent contractors that can do things for you from their home, that are going to be more small in that way, that operate through the internet, but they don't have a storefront. And then anything that has a storefront is going to be like conglomerate based. So that's where most of these things are headed now. And it was kind of funny. I just met with a friend recently for dinner, and what I'm doing with WriteMac.com and trying to create a platform, or I am creating a platform for other people to do breakup coaching, and do it on a flexible schedule. This guy was telling me about a platform he's building that is actually for all, like a yoga teacher, a wellness coach. He's doing it for all aspects of different things. And so I think that's going to be useful in the future. All right, folks, I just came on for a short bit. Azam, Rob, Sabina, I appreciate all three of you jumping in for the 30 minutes with me. Just wanted to make sure I got back on and maybe got another one in. I'm really enjoying listening to myself through this mic. It's been a lot of fun. We will be getting guests coming soon. We will be getting people on the phone. And I think that's going to be a game changer for the show. I think it's going to be really good because people like to hear other people's stories. I know that having Jessica on, just someone else to talk to, makes it flow a little bit better for me, saves some of my vocals. Because like today when I talked for 2.5 hours straight, it's nice to have someone else on. I'd recommend making yourself the center of the camera frame. Yeah, this one today, I'm using this new software. And anyways, I'll get into it later. I understand. You're right. 100%. It's annoying. Azam, your comments are always welcome and well received. Very good. All right, folks, I'm going to call it curtains. I'll be back on tomorrow. Take it easy.